Yesu ruo, Yesu Hiroma, Yesu.
Thank you for having me here. Hello. My name is Winnie, mostly known as Winnie B. The B stands for best. So if you say Winnie Best or Winnie B, I will of course stand and look at you. That's my name. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter. I sing alone sometimes, but I also sing with my sisters. I have 3 sisters that we do music together with. Liz, Mary, and Jesha. It wasn't always like that from the beginning, but thank God for COVID. We found ourselves together, and that's been strengthened more and more. I always knew I'm not into being a solo artist, so to speak. I always love doing it together with people, and so finding that I can do that with my sisters from the same family is so cool, because sometimes you can even be in the kitchen and one person starts to sing and then it happens. So yeah, that's really who I am. I think, I know. It started when we were still very young. The music thing has come from both our parents. My dad, he's late now, was a lover of music. He didn't sing. I never heard him sing. But anytime he was home, there was loud music playing. And he loved, and if I say this, I'm sure there are people who grew up in that era. They will know when I grew up, which era I grew up. My dad was a lover of musicians like Franco, which name do I remember? Joski Kiambukuta, Melia Bell, those guys. So we grew up listening to a lot of that. But also on the other side, Mom was born-again Christian from the time I was very young. So we also got to listen to a lot of, so to speak, gospel music from people like Mary Atieno, the Kasangas. So sometimes when we were home, we never got to sing with Dad or dance with him. He was a very serious guy. So he'd come in and put on his, whatever he brought, he sorts you guys out. Never had conversations with you, just went and sat at a corner and played music, like sat next to. He had this, I don't know what they were called, those ones that you put, then you removed, then you put back, and it was always loud. So I would find a way to, I used to think I'm more of a dancer than singing. So I would find a corner and just be dancing, and even sing along to some of those words. They were foreign, but I could sing along to them. Then, of course, when we were hanging out with Mom, it was a different story. If we needed to sing about, do I remember some of those songs? A song like Adamu Naiva Walitenda. So after listening to that playing, sometimes she'd start singing alone, and then we'd just join in with her. So I went through life, even into my teens, into high school, not really thinking of myself as a musician. I just felt I loved music. I loved good music. I loved dancing. Many times in school, I was caught with my friends dancing instead of doing what we need to do in school. But while in high school, a few people around me would sometimes invite me, especially if there was weekend challenge and those things. So handsome guys are coming. Yes, we were going to church with Mom at home, but I don't think I had discovered God for myself. So in school, I was like, no one is watching me. I don't have to go to see you. Okay, Sunday you have to go to church because it's a requirement. But midweek stuff, like I don't have to do this. But when my friends said, you have a nice voice, why don't we try and do something for the weekend challenge? And that was my first stage experience, and it frightened me because we went into we found what we call the secular style and looked for words in the Bible and put it there. And one lady who was, she was older than us. I think I was in Form 2 then. She was in Form 4, but then she'd gone to school a bit late, so she was a bit older. So she knew a song by is it Bob Marley? And I think it says, with no woman, no cry or something. So us guys sat and we felt we were creative and we were like, with Jesus, no cry. So we were like, we have a presentation. So then on the day arrives and we go and we are called upon. And I could see that people are looking at us very strangely because we never used to attend CU. But we had some really cool looking guys that coming, so we wanted to check them out. So we said, we'll attend this weekend thing. Hey, when we went to the front and we started singing, the CU patron came. She used to use a walking stick. So she came with her walking stick and she started saying, get out, get out, get out, get out. What is this you're doing? And I think that day I decided, singing is not for me. I will never sing again. Until much later, when I finished high school and being with my mom, you had to go to church. For morning prayers, lunchtime prayers, evening prayers, whatever is happening in church, you had to go. And some of the youth around the church, it was Redeemed Gospel Church in Kisumu, they loved being around my mom. So sometimes they'd come and hang out at home. And I think they had us sing in the background. And so I remember one of them came with the form and said, I need to fill it. So I joined the praise team. I just finished high school. And I was like, no, first of all, that means being in church even more. And I already feel like I need to get out so I don't have to be in church, you know. So I never did sign up for that. But one of them eventually convinced me to attend one of the practice sessions. So I went there and I clicked with this guy who was the leader, invited me to something else, went there. I think the friendships that I got in that other group, I think sort of just encouraged me to be part of it. And so I found myself part of the praise team, part of any music thing that's happening. And yeah, I embraced it. I don't even think I needed to embrace it. I just needed to be around people who are doing the same thing and then see that, it's fun, it's nice, and being in church is not all bad because now I was with other youth who are doing the same thing. Yeah, so in a way, it helped me to also, it helped my mom to get me where she felt this is where she belongs. Yeah, so that's how then I started just walking the music journey. Yeah. Well, the goodness of God is what that song has been on my playlist, like on repeat. It's the only song on the playlist for lately, so I'd like to sing that. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yeah. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, the darkest night. You've been close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And I will sing of your goodness, Lord. I will sing of the goodness of God. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Here, I'm a girl who's gone through a lot of tribulations, and to the point you start wondering, is it worth it being a Christian? Until you come across the scripture where Jesus said, in the world you shall have many tribulations, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. It's taken sitting down, and there's a hymn that says, count your blessings and name them one by one. It's taken sitting down and actually looking at my life and seeing, yes, there have been issues, but there have also been some good. And when I look at the things that have happened that are awesome and beautiful and wonderful, I couldn't have done them for myself. The first time I started really looking for God, yes, I was in church, but I started really looking for God, was when one day I come home and I start hearing stories about dad having another family, and that means we will not see him often. I'm a firstborn, and I don't know if you have children, but there's a thing about firstborns, especially girls and their dads. He was my hero. I was the type of kid who went to school and said, next week on this date, you have new shoes. I'll also come with new shoes. I don't really need new shoes, but being a kid, I also want to show others that even I can get new shoes. And I just go and inform him that next week on Thursday, maybe I need to be wearing new shoes. And he brings it. He was the kind of person who, if I didn't want to eat mom's githeri, I was taken out to be gotten what I wanted. So, of course, growing up with such a person, you feel like, what can the whole world do to me? And then one day he's not there. And yes, I've been going with mom to church and just listening and wondering what I'm doing here. And then I'm in this service with mom for a lunch hour service. And it was Bishop Mark Kego. He talks about God as a father. And from that day, I started wanting to find out how. What do you mean? Because the way God was introduced to me was he's up there, he's very far, with a stick, waiting for you to just do the wrong thing and punish you. But he was presented on that day as this person that can walk with you and lift you. And he really highlighted even if my father and my mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. So the walking with him daily and discovering him, discovering attributes of him, that has to be a personal thing. So I told him I want to, if, for example, Psalm 18 says you're a deliverer, he must have had an encounter. If he says you're good, he must have had an encounter. So I wanted to have that for myself. And as I sat and looked back, I realized, you know what, God has been very good to me. There are things I would never have been able to do on my own. There are doors I'd never been able to open on my own. there's a time I told him, I miss my dad. I would like to feel how it is like for a dad to hold the hand of the way girls feel when their fathers hold their hands. And so one day I'm sitting and I realize he's actually done that. I've gotten jobs that I wasn't qualified for. Doors have been opened for me that I wasn't even looking for. I was just doing life, and then I'm called upon to do A, B, C, D. And I'm like, me? How? And every time, because I told him I don't want to be the girl with daddy issues. Because if you're really a dad, I don't have to be referred to like that. And I've seen him as a father. And that's why singing about his goodness comes easy for me. Because I've experienced that goodness. Yeah. Like literally. Walking with me. Yeah. Maybe just to add on that, I remember years back, my mom said, one day you'll go back to school, and it will be very specific. It will be a Bible school. So I was smiling because I'm like, Dad moved on with his new family. As a firstborn, I'm the one with my brother, my follower. We're the ones trying to figure out how the rest will finish school, pay their school fees and everything. So it's like, I reached Form 4, I'm good. I'll go through, I'll do whatever. And that's the thing again, being somebody who just not gone to campus, but getting these job opportunities that put you in a place where you're leading people who are graduates and who are graduates, people who've gone ahead of you in other areas, but you're put in a place where you're even leading them, you're even showing them what to do. So I had put that aside and said, I'll never go back to school. I don't think I can. I need to help mom with the rest. But years later, somebody sends me, in 2014, somebody sends me a brochure for a particular Christian ministry school. And I look at it, I'm like, no, I can't afford this. This one is still in high school, this one is still that. 4 years later, in 2018, I take a leap of faith and I apply. Again, just hanging out with the right people. And they say, just apply. So I applied. I had this job that I was doing part-time. So I'd budgeted myself and said, this is how much I'll pay for and this is how much I'll pay school fees. But a month and a half into the Bible school, someone calls me on a Monday morning. There's something we had been doing at school, and I'd invited her daughter to be part of it. So her daughter went home and she kept talking about it. And she calls me the following day on a Monday and she asks me, do you work on Mondays? I said, no, I don't, because then I was doing the part-time job for a church organization. So she said, first, in fact, before that, she had asked me if I can send her my bank account number. So I did. Then she calls me back and she says, I have not slept all night. Your father has been speaking to me about you all night. And that's why I need your bank account number so I can do a transfer of your school fees. How much did you say it is for the 2 years? So I did. I told her. But later she calls and says that the transfer is not happening. So she asks me if I can go to her house, and I do. And when I arrive, she gives me a check for the entire 2 years of school. Not that I didn't have a job. I could still work it out because there was a plan to pay monthly. But at that moment, receiving that check, and it wasn't just for the school fees alone, she also was like, I heard you say you'd like to move closer to school, so I've put in a few tens of thousands extra to enable you to do that, to move near school. And at that moment, receiving that check, I remember when my mom first said, you'll go back to school, and I told her how. I don't think so. Especially not Bible school. But even if I was to do it, how? Who would pay that school fees? What would happen? And mom said, God is your father. And he is a good father who knows what we need even before we ask. So if this is something that needs to happen in your life, he'll do it himself. And he's seen how you've been there for your family. He will not let that slide. I remembered that. And I said, God, Father. Most of the time I don't say God. I say, Father, you are true and you are good. That's just one of the things that I've seen God do. Not because I went and asked him. A good father knows what their kid needs. They don't have to wake up in the morning and say, so are we having tea? What's happening? They wake up and find things are organized for them. And I've seen him walk with me like that. I've seen him be so good to me even when I'm not, according to the standards of men, good enough. He's always saying, you're good enough. That is a good father. Yeah. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. And it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. And it will surprise you what the Lord has done. We sing that song, but last night I was telling my sisters that the word surprise in that song, it will surprise you. It's because you sit and you realize that even though today, right now, I may not have a job, or I may have lost my husband, or someone in my family is sick, around us, there is good stuff that God is still doing. And that's why it will come to you as a surprise. Because sometimes you can have a single story about yourself or about other people and fail to see what else God is doing. That's why you get surprised. Like, what? This almost happened. It didn't happen. I needed this. God provided for it. But I didn't see it because I'm so focused on this that is not happening. Yeah. It was amazing. If you actually sit and look at your life, there's a lot that God is doing. Yeah.